Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Real World Blockchain. I am Gauthier Lamotte, your host, and today I'm blessed to have my two partners in crime, Zoe Bredeman. Hi, Zoe.
Hello.
And Niles Lee Smith, who's got an unexpected, cute bundle of love. Who's your
Oh,
guest?
yeah, he'll be joining us. This is Sensei Kubo.
Oh,
Big
wonderful.
personality, a lot of ideas.
All right, everyone. This episode brought to you by Web3 Enabler, the first provider of payment solutions in cryptocurrencies on Salesforce and soon other CRMs. All right, so today I think we have to talk about an orange man, Zoe. I think Trump's official Republican platform has pledged to halt a crypto crackdown. Can you explain to us what this is?
Yeah, so Trump came out really in favor of crypto and trying to combat some of the opposition. And part of the incentive for that, or his explanation for it, is empowering US citizens as individuals because of the self custodial components of cryptocurrencies. So I mean that's his stance. It's obviously strategic with the election coming up as far as trying to beat out his competition, beat out Biden. But so it makes sense in his position. It's good to have a political supporter of crypto. However, the intentions are quite clear.
Of course, it's strategic, but in terms of strategy, I found that, like what you just said, seems extremely, like, astonishingly subtle for somebody like Donald Trump. No offense intended, but usually he didn't shine because of his, measured ideas and knowledge of the topics he's talking about. And to understand that he's talking about self custody is it's interesting. That means there's some knowledge of the crypto world. In a previous episode, Niles, we talked about the Biden administration also trying to become more crypto friendly. So um, I suppose that should mean that the United States are going further down the road of cryptocurrency adoption. What do you think, guys?
I think that it's interesting that we had talked about that. Biden has obviously taken a hard turn and solidified himself as anti crypto.
Oh, so this has
This
changed.
is now something where Trump and the Republican Party, for the first time in the United States history, we have something written in their platform as a party that references cryptocurrencies. And if I could quote, Republicans will end Democrats' unlawful and un American crypto crackdown and oppose the creation of central bank digital currency, which is a very strong statement that the Republicans have put out. And to the point that Trump understands crypto, I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
I know that he has put out his NFTs and the Trump trading cards, and he has dabbled with his name within blockchain and crypto. Does he understand, or is this just a stance that he thinks is just the opposition to what the Democrats are doing? Where I do not know or do not think that crypto or blockchain is going to win you an election, but your negative stance absolutely could lose you.
Hmm. So in terms of strategy, it's more because it's not what the Democrats are going to do than because there's a strong belief in the freedom that cryptocurrencies can get. Is that what you mean?
Absolutely. And we've seen like the founder of Kraken, which is one of the largest crypto exchanges in the US, very large backer of Trump, gave millions of dollars to the campaign. And I think that this is something where people who are single issue voters based on crypto will flock to this banner because there is a promise by Biden to shut it down. And
Oh,
if Trump is going to take the other side, then all of a sudden you are scooping up all these votes that honestly may or may not have even voted if the policy predictions are going to be the same.
So that's always complicated to find the real intentions between, between what a politician really knows about a topic and what.
Right?
Yeah, well, as I said, that's not a stab at Donald Trump. I have nothing for or against U.S. politicians. The only thing is that the least I can say is that he didn't shine because of his extensive knowledge of the topics he's talking about. So. And of course, we can imagine that a politician is not able to understand all the topics he's talking about. There has to be advisors behind that. So,
Of course.
so let's see how it turns out. And this is interesting to see that there's a shift, because there was that interesting interaction last time between the SEC and Joe Biden as well. So um, that's a case to follow then.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that it's also interesting that the Republican platform mentioned a crypto crackdown as well as CBDCs,
Mhm.
because they are not necessarily the same thing. And being from Boston, I am familiar with what is called Project Hamilton, which is the Boston Fed project for developing a CBDC,
Oh,
which is not actually blockchain or crypto particularly at all, because it's completely trackable. And going and looking at where, okay, we as individuals and citizens are able to use dollars, go buy a coffee. That dollar, once it leaves your hand, theoretically, nobody really knows where it came from. But CBDCs, based on how they're being tracked, is going to change the game. And if the Federal Reserve now becomes truly a centralized bank, where now you do not need to go and use your corner bank or your local bank because you are banking with the Fed, that is going to change the complete dynamic of the financial institutions within the United States. And I think that is honestly a bigger question of how is that going to work and what is the ramifications than actually just using quote unquote digital currencies, which, to be honest, we're already using if you ever have used a credit card.
so that's also something to be put in perspective with also the recent progress in artificial intelligence. Um, and indeed, I can understand the political concerns uh, regarding mass surveillance
And civil, to be
and
honest.
civil. Yes. What do you have in mind?
I think we have a right to privacy.
Hmm.
And at least, like for us with the Fourth Amendment, this is something that should be protected. And based on what is being developed and how this is spun, at least in the United States, who knows how this is going to be interpreted.
So that's a very hot topic that started just as a light topic, saying, "Oh, Trump has talked about crypto," but actually the ramifications are huge here. Thanks so much,
I
Zoe.
think so.
Yeah, thanks, Zoe and Niles. This is a very deep topic, and so the next topic here is also about government and crypto interaction, but this time we're in another on another continent. We are in the European Union, and we're talking about the German government. Have you guys heard about a recent um, coup made by a recent hit made by the German government? Basically, there was this European piracy website, basically offering, unlicensed copies of movies. So something like the Pirate Bay or a dark web Netflix, and they seized quite a lot of money, I believe, and at the moment they're preparing to sell off. So now, what can you tell us about that?
I believe it was the website Movie 2K,
Yeah.
and this was all the way back in, I want to say, like 2013.
Hmm.
So it's been quite a while, and the price of Bitcoin has obviously appreciated. I believe that it was close to 50,000 Bitcoin that was seized at the time,
Yeah.
valued at over $2 billion as of today. And there has been hundreds of millions of dollars being sold off consistently by the German government, which I don't know if you've noticed, but the Bitcoin market has not taken kindly to this sell-off. And we just have to see like what is going to happen with this, because it's always interesting when governments are the ones that are auctioning off Bitcoin, because it is seen as quote unquote clean Bitcoin, right? Like,
Okay.
regardless of if it's being seized from illegal activities such as Silk Road, once the government is the one that gives it to you based on the blockchain transactions, now all of a sudden it's clean. And if there's anything that happens based on transactions, which we have seen because they were able to track down these Bitcoin, right, via transactions to say this is illegal, and they have seized it. You were able to point and say, like, look, like this is clean Bitcoin. You already seized it, you cleaned it, and you sold it to me. And that is something that, again, going back to um, like physical dollars or euros, you don't really see. I guess you could call it um, like washing, right? When you like go and launder your money to go and try to quote unquote make it clean, but now you're able to go and point to like a specific time and point within the blockchain that makes this clean. And there is no question that this is legitimate Bitcoin that has been legitimately acquired and really should not be touchable by any government.
That's fascinating. So let's see how it's how the market is impacted by that. Some people are saying what happens if a huge heavy hitter like
Michael Saylor, like I know
yeah.
that he's a big fan of government options.
What happens if BlackRock buys that? Is it something that could break the market? Do you think that could be that impactful? That's
I
the
mean,
question.
I think so. Um, Either up or down. To be honest, there's really only two directions that a market can go. I mean, I guess there's a third way, which is just flat. But really, with crypto, it's never flat. Let's be real. But if somebody is buying, that's a good sign. And if it's BlackRock, that's fine, right? Because at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter if it's an institution or individuals, but that there is a drive for ownership. And if BlackRock is expanding the ETFs, which we have seen, there is a significant inflow to, at least in the United States, these Bitcoin spot ETFs in the recent days. That's a good indicator. Even if the price is down, it means that people and institutions have faith that this is going to continue at least until tomorrow. Because like, isn't the true value of a dollar that you can go and buy a burger?
Yeah, yeah. There's always a human component, and so that means that people are going to think and to have emotional decisions, and the market is very emotional, and of course, there are some people who, with their emotional decisions, can influence the market more than the others. So that's that's a tricky situation, and I'm looking forward to see how government auctions get regulated in the future in the EU. Probably it's probably going to be different than what happens in the US, but let's see. All right.
Absolutely, and especially with like Micah,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well,
Is that now there's like new regulations, and looking at how Europe is going to go and deal with this versus the United States, and how much is actually like the volume
yeah.
being traded in one or another is interesting, because like the European Union is an entire bloc. It's not a single country.
Yeah, it's becoming something like the United States of Europe, and there's a kind of unified workflow here. Um, and whenever you guys in the US, you know, scratch your head thinking, oh gosh, what did the SEC do this time?
Oh.
What did they do again? This is something that happens for us in the EU with Mika, and we're thinking, oh gosh, what kind of wicked update did? Oh, actually, this one is not. Oh, this one is thoughtful. Okay, so sometimes there are good ideas coming from that, but the it's hard to keep up with the pace of all these updates because it's still a very young market. So many lawsuits and laws are popping up in the press every week. So wait and see. And dear listeners of Real World Blockchain, this is not an investment advice, but if you guys stumble upon a government auction, yes, you can buy some Bitcoin. Anyway, last thing, we wanted to talk about Argentina. So Zoe announced, you guys know that just like El Salvador, Argentina has adopted, legalized contracts and paid in Bitcoin.
Yeah, yeah, and this happened alongside a 276% inflation spike, which is unsurprising.
Yeah, the country has like inflation is their national sport, I believe. So and has been so for decades. So
That and
yes.
soccer, right?
Sorry.
That and soccer, right?
Yeah.
I believe they call it football.
Yeah.
Oh, right, of course, football.
Just like we in France do have bread and riots, they have inflation and soccer. No, Argentina has a vibrant culture and many other things, but because the high inflation rates can be problematic for many citizens for very obvious reasons, like 276% means times three in the supermarkets. Yes, of course, that's something very interesting. Then, when you need to have a legal tender that is deflationist. Um, so, what do you think about that, guys? Do you think the trend could also be contagious and, for example, um, touch Africa, other countries of South America, maybe perhaps countries in Asia, basically many G20 economies where there's a huge level of inflation? What do you think?
Well, I don't believe that Argentina is part of G20.
No,
So
I
that's
said
probably pretty
non
safe.
G20 economies.
Donji. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily going to be because of Argentina, but it might be a trend that we do see. I
Oh,
know that the president Milei
Hmm.
of Argentina, um, he was looking to dollarize the country. However, they did not have the reserves to actually pull that off, and he backed off of that proposal. However, based on this inflation rate and what we are seeing on chain, the Argentinian people are dollarizing themselves, right? Where even if they're not necessarily actually getting US dollars, they're getting US dollar equivalents in the form of stablecoins, particularly Tether. And they're not actually spending a whole lot of it as much as using it as a reserve for their own savings, which I think is very interesting and a trend that we will continue to see in countries that are not economically stable.
So that could be a real asset that has the potential to basically free some people from an inflationist nightmare, and
Yeah.
that's also
Yeah, I think so.
yeah.
Yeah, and like, isn't that also the promise of crypto and blockchain, where you're not taking your dollars or your pesos and stuffing them under a mattress, but they're stored on chain, and you are able to go and hold the value of something that you actually believe in.
Let's see what happens in the future. For sure, this doesn't mean that everything is solved in Argentina. They still have many economic problems to deal with. Um,
Well, he's an economist. We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. That's not the always because you use the means to reduce inflation that is going to happen as you expected. Everyone has a plan until inflation punches you in the face. So let's see how it evolves. All right. Any last words, Zoe?
Yeah, just reiterating that. Yeah, and I'm curious to see what happens in some other nations that you mentioned.
All right.
Well, Gautier, I think you have a pretty exciting announcement that has kicked off today.
Oh yes, and so that's the end of this podcast. And today we're announcing that our partner company Sky Protocol has launched its token sale. So at the moment we are already 15% funded, and of course we're going to put the link in the description, sale.skyprotocol.org, and if you guys want to buy Sky tokens in anticipation, this is the right time to do it. The sale ends in, well, 40 hours. So everyone.
And just give us a soundbite. What is Sky Protocol?
Oh, so to remind that because some people have heard that, Sky Protocol is basically a data availability engine. So that's a means to publish data from one subchain to another part of the blockchain. And to say it very concretely for all our listeners who are bothered by technical stuff, the real gain is that it's going to drastically reduce transaction fees. Sometimes it's going to reduce them by 10, and sometimes it's going to reduce them by 100 if you have the right parameters. So that's quite exciting for all the all the people who were thinking, okay, but how scalable is a business on the blockchain? Well, here it's going to be pretty scalable, so that's the idea. And of course, this solution is already starting to be designed in order to be compatible with the heavy hitters in the Cardano ecosystem, like Midgard and Icon and all these little pieces of tech where you basically need top-notch guys to have your back. And Sky Protocol has great partners at this moment and is securing more partnerships. So kudos to them. Look at the white paper and look at the website in order to know what we are doing at the moment. But basically, that's a scaling solution. The scaling
Yeah,
solution
and
that
what really excites me is that Faray, the founder, created his own blockchain first language, Glow, right? Which Sky Protocol is written in. And
um,
this is built in the Cardano ecosystem,
yeah,
right?
it's built on the Cardano ecosystem. There are parts of the so you're right. There are parts of the ecosystem that are built based on the same logic, the same architectural logic as Glow, but most of it is going to be built in the durable scheme language. So the one that our developer, lead developer François Onerido, aka Faray, affectionates very much. So that's more what is going to be used. But the previous tech we've built for the Cardano ecosystem, and notably Glow, is going to help us understand that ecosystem better, and that's why we chose this system at the moment. So we're looking forward to doing that.
I'm excited.
Alrighty. Everyone, thank you so much. This was Real World Blockchain, the podcast where you can see how your business can thrive thanks to the blockchain and to cryptocurrencies. This episode was brought to you by two partners this time, Sky Protocol and Web3 Enabler. Thanks a lot, guys. See you later, Zoe and Niles. Bye bye.